Hello guys, welcome to Shanty Shop Mechanic. My name is Paddy, and as you can see behind me, we are very much in the depths of autumn, which means the requirement for tea has doubled. So what I need to do is I need to get a machine that I can bring around me at all times that can make me said cup of tea without me being inefficient in my daily tasks. So I've dug up a old generator that I haven't seen since 2019, get it running, and hopefully by the end of it I can make myself a cup of tea. Join me in that. The machine in question is this Powercraft mini generator, which I had sold in 2019 to somebody and who returned it immediately after they tried making a cup of tea with it in their camper. They did try their best to make the tea. As you can see, they duct taped the string. Of course, it wouldn't be an episode of Shanty Shop without a broken pull cord. To bear in mind, I haven't gone near this since I got it back from the customer, stated it wouldn't work, and put it back in the shed. It's all complete, it being not touched, including the vintage label ethanol petrol, which I assume is turned back to its base elements. To give you a glimmer of what the fuel tank must look like in the inside, you can just see here from the fill filter that there's a lovely layer of like syrup. And what that really is just the evaporated fuel, what the oil is just left. I'm definitely going to have to go through the carb on this one. Disaster back into place. Pretty straightforward little machine. You have your on and off position here, your little throttle, and your AC protector or reset, and of course your plug. Honestly, one day I will be able to work on a machine that does have a functioning recoil with a good pull cord on it. But until then, that'll be for another episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to see if there's any compression, spark, and then we can move on to replacing the recoil and then moving into the carb. Make sure the kill switch is working too. Compression is excellent. Putting spark plug tester on it now. Oh, that's loose. You tighten that up. That's way loose. How the hell was I getting compression in the first place? Oh, come on. Nothing. I've gone off camera and I've confirmed that there is no spark. What needs to be done is I need to take this thing apart, get to the coil, match it up with something I have here. Usually these off-brand or Chinese brand engines are very compatible with each other, and see if I can get this thing to turn over. Because if I can't find a coil for it, it's pretty much game over. I fitted a nice shiny boot, or a new one that twists into the wire and creates a good contact for spark to pass through. However, with this done, unfortunately it didn't provide a spark. To be careful of the fuel line, which isn't connected. What was going on with this machine? I just put you back in the shed and I got you. Really hoping that a lawnmower coil would be hiding underneath here. However, it's not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the kill switch and see will it turn over that way. Excellent. Not going to lie, I wasn't expecting it to be the kill switch that was preventing the spark, but I'm so relieved now that I can move forward with this. Recoil coming off next. Nothing really too much to see here. Just got to pull this all the way out as possible and make sure not to let the spring that you can see working there fly out in your face. And there we have it. A nice, well greased and oiled recoil. New pull cord ready to be installed back onto the generator. Do try to have patience with a machine that hasn't ran in a long time, because it may take a while for fuel systems to properly clear out. You may clean the carb, but you might have to do that 2 or 3 times to get something to run reliably again. As you can see, the sediment bowl is quite clean, so I'm just going to give it a little rinse off and should be ready to rock. Then move on to filling the tank with new petrol, swirling it around, and then disposing of the waste. I've removed the petcock and sediment bowl from the fuel tank. I've removed the fuel line as well. If you don't know when this was last done, or it was done more than 5 years ago, I would definitely recommend replacing it. Well, this should be very flexible, but it's quite a struggle to move it with my thumb. It's the second day going into fixing the yellow peril, and let me tell you, this thing put up a fight. It was so blocked that I decided to override the fuel cutoff and drilled straight through it. See the little hole there? It was barely a drip. I'm going to install this back onto the tank and fit another cut-off line. Petcock being installed back into the fuel tank. Just thread it in nicely. Why aren't you not a 13? Before you install it, good idea to make sure that there is no leaks coming from the petcock where it meets the bottom of the fuel tank. So I'm going to fill this up and I'm going to wait and see if there's any leaks or any moisture around that. Checked it and it's tip-top legoo. Let's get the fuel line on, ensuring that you have both clamps on either end of the fuel line so you don't forget, or you think you don't need them, which you absolutely do need them. I like to push them into the middle so they're out of the way for the moment. Just slowly push this fuel line into place. Excellent. Time to set it on the generator and hook it up to the carb. I have to remember that I drilled through this petcock, so no matter which way I do this, there's going to be some spillage. I'm going to get this done quickly. Go on. There we go. That was only a minor inconvenience. There we go. It's in place. I will say when installing the fuel tank back on, I had to cut a longer bit of fuel line, as this fuel line is a little bit more prone to bending at right angles. It's not as rigid as the old line. And make sure that you cut yourself a good length to curve more like this as opposed to bending like that. Now for the fun part where I try and see if this thing runs. Okay, that's promising. Doesn't seem to want to be turning over now. I'm going to try a new plug. I only use that impact because it's incredibly weak. It was just a plug acting up. I don't think it wants to run off choke, so I think I might have to adjust the carb. Let's hook something up and see if it works. Just as soon as I said that, it just cut off. Shouldn't have said anything. This bowl was just full of silt. It's going to take me a few times to clean this out. Okay, after cleaning the mistake that I created out of the carb, time to see if it runs now. sit rep. I'm not getting enough fuel flowing into the bowl of this carb. Here is where it goes into the fuel tank. It drops down, but it's barely a drip like it was with the petcock. To clean this out a lot better than I had done before. And as I said, don't be surprised if it takes 2 or 3 times, because even if I was to get this thing perfect, this could have dirt in it too, which will eventually flow down. Take 47. To quote Bill Cox in the movie Sling Blade, it ain't got no gas in it. How did I not think to put petrol in it? I thought I put enough into it, but obviously it wasn't enough for it to flow down. Me fighting the flow rate of the petrol going into the carb was really just me being a bit thick. Time to see if this thing works and do a few chores with it. You didn't think I was going to have a cup of tea right now, did you? I got jobs to do. I'll have the cup of tea after. Oh. That's not fun. There might be carb issues after all. Now there's the small issue of no spark. I've got ways of making you talk, Mr. Generator. Don't make me do it. The possible reason for this generator not working is, other than bad petrol, it can easily be the exhaust pipe is clogged up with soot or particulates and stuff like that. It can lead to being a clogged exhaust pipe. But on a larger machine like this, I have my doubts. Nonetheless, I'm going to take the exhaust pipe off. Let's see if I can get this thing to start with the exhaust off. I'm going to use this to burn out any excess oil or carbon out of the exhaust. Definitely going to leave that to cool down. I've also gone ahead and removed the head off the engine just to see if there was anything out of the ordinary. The cross hatching is still present, thankfully, with very little wear marks at all in the cylinder. I think what I'm just going to do is just going to clean off the piston and the other side of the head here, which is not really going to improve anything, but just while I'm there, make sure to tighten any bolts like this on heads in a crisscross pattern. This minimizes your chances of warping the head. everything back together. Let's see what happens. Okay, I am officially confused. Different style of spark plug boot on, see if that makes a difference. It's alive again. I'm going to leave it a few minutes just to make sure. Don't want to jinx it just yet. I learned something new today, and that was to do with the spark. This lovely shiny spark plug boot was removing spark. As I was testing it, I could see spark coming from the plug, but this being metal, it was arcing on the fuel tank, almost reducing the level of spark. So I'll show you the other new boot that I fitted onto it, and that's the reason why it runs now. To compare with the previous one, it's fully insulated from the spark leaving the wire and onto the tank or another piece of metal or a cast where the spark plug is. It is only one direction, and that's to go through this plug. What I have are two marks on the wall right there where my finger is, one there and one there. I need to drill those two holes out. Hopefully this generator can do it. Because I'm an idiot, I may have not had the camera running when I was doing this, but it actually did a decent enough job. I need to clean out the carb again as I was going through it and it was bogging down. Unfortunately the generator didn't have the juice to put the screws into the wall, but thankfully enough I was able to drill it out quickly. Obviously needs a little bit more work, but the job is done. I'm happy with that, but we need to go on to some more serious matters if it can actually make me a cup of tea. Think of it as like the tranquil hum a light bulb makes. I'm waiting for. Let's try the coveted cup of tea. Okay, that's really not that happy at all. I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah, wasn't even getting warm. Had to run for nearly 2 minutes or whatever, and no, nothing. Just to make sure I didn't break anything. Okay, in conclusion, I got the machine to work. It did find me a good bit, and I learned that it's important to keep the spark insulated. And then unfortunately I cannot make a cup of tea with this machine, so that means that immediately it's going up online. It can serve the purpose of shedding a light or using a drill for somebody else. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, see you in the next one. God, enough of that.